Hey, Retail Business Owners Tribe. Did you know some latest stats out of the US is that 79% of US consumers continue or are continuing to increase the usage of contactless shopping options such as self-checkout, curbside pickup, even after the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is one of the shifts that is happening in consumer behavior in our landscape, right? And the constant changing of the customer landscape about consumer behavior is all part of the game that we are playing in retail. So welcome, Bricks and Mortar Retailers Tribe. If you're joining me for the first time, my name's Alvin. I'm a retail business coach, a former retailer. And today I'm going to be talking to you about adapting to consumer shifts. Like I mentioned, this happens all the time within our space, and you'll see many of our high street stores who are struggling to keep in the marketplace simply because they haven't been able to adapt to changes in consumer behavior. So what's driving these changes, right? Some would argue that this is a constant game of retail, and that's certainly the case. But what are the key trends that are driving changes in consumer behavior? So the first thing is obviously things like sustainability, experiential shopping, the rise of online and hybrid shopping models. And so it's really important that as retailers, we understand these changes. If we don't understand these changes, then we're definitely not likely going to be able to grow our business. Our business is going to remain stagnant. Cash flow is going to be down, profitability is going to be down, and the worst case scenario is you'll end up shutting your shop because you just simply have not adapted to the marketplace. So, what I would love to hear from you is just in the comment section below, in your retail store or within your retail sub industry, have you got any experiences about the changes in consumer behavior over time? One of the examples I have from when I was running my pharmacies was the shift from paper prescriptions into digital prescriptions, right? So this is something that happened very, very quickly in Australia. And a lot of people took it up very quickly. And those pharmacies that were sort of left behind, and they were just basically left behind, right? Because think about it, people wanted to be able to pick up their scripts really, really quickly. So with the whole digital scripts, you just went to the doctor emailed you the script or sent it to the pharmacy, no paper. You walk in typically if you were a really good pharmacy. And of course, I ran really good pharmacies. Your medication would be ready to pick up. But this kind of changing in consumer behavior happens all the time, right? Whether it's in fashion retail, as we all know, fashion changes quite regularly. Whether you're running a bottle shop, right, or a wine shop, changes in consumer behavior happen all the time. And if you're not up to date with those consumer behaviors, if you're not having your eye on the pulse, or you don't have somebody in your team that's keeping the eye on the pulse, you're basically going to miss out on sales, and you are going to lose out. So, what are some of the ways that you can stay relevant, stay competitive in the marketplace, and really understand your consumer or customer behaviors? So the first thing is you really need to understand who your ideal client is. Where many retailers stuff up is many high street retailers is and independents is they try and be all things to all people. Now I've spoken about this at length many times, but simply because you're trying to you're trying to cater to everyone, you feel like you can just have every single thing in your retail store. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, pharmacy, bookshops, boutiques, it's all the same. If you don't keep up with your consumer behavior and you just take it for granted that people will always walk into your store because that's what they've always done, then you're missing out. And so it's really important that you understand your target market. So when you do the work to understand your target market, you can then, you obviously, well, not obviously, but you'll have a customer avatar ready. So you will know what exactly your customer needs and how their needs change over time. What kind of problems do they want to be solved right now in the marketplace? What are the shifts that are happening in the marketplace, perhaps led by the bigger box retailers? And as we know, this filters down onto the rest of the marketplace, right? This filters down to us little independent retailers. So the other thing, so it all stems from understanding your target market. Now, one of the questions I have I get asked all the time is, how do we stay up to date with the consumer behaviors of our target market? And you really need to, as I said, keep an eye on the big box retailers, understand what is happening in social media. It still surprises me how a lot of retail business owners still forget about the influence of social media. Whether you like it or not, it is here to stay. And a lot of the ways that our consumers think, whether it was from back in the good old days, when that people used to read newspapers and articles, to what is happening today via social media, TikTok, Instagram, etc., blah blah. It's all the same thing. So you just need to stay on top of your game, and you need to stay on top of your uh, consumer behaviors and how they filter out into your store. Now this goes, so once you understand your target market, then it's really about making sure that you understand the products that they need. And you understand the products that they need by understanding, now as your consumer has changed or shifted their behavior, they have different problems that they are trying to solve. And so by understanding what problems your ideal customers have, then you can start to filter that down to the products that you're going to keep in your store. And remember, please don't be all things to all people. Really understand your customer, your target customers. And then, of course, we break it down we've done our products. So we want to make sure that we stay up to date, stay relevant with the products that we sell within our store. And then the next thing is the customer experience. So this is such a tremendous opportunity for us as bricks and mortar retailers to make sure that we stay ahead of the game here. And if you haven't already noticed, one of the main ways that you can compete with online retailers and the big box retailers is to simply look at what retailers are doing like 50, 70, 80, 100 years ago. And that's the customer experience. They all excelled at the customer experience. And I'm sure you've noticed this already. But if we start to offer amazing customer service, make sure that our team are really well trained, all of these things lead to you being able to compete in the marketplace. And this is what consumers want now, right? The people that are coming into your store with the problems they are here to coming into getting solved by providing an amazing customer experience and amazing customer service and amazing advice. That's how we can win this game and continue to grow our retail stores. The other thing that we need to take into account with respect to the whole customer experience is making sure that we understand the whole journey within our stores. So the times are changing. A lot of people are used to the whole interactive environment of our stores. So just make sure that you've got everything on point such that it appeals to your target market. So if you're a boutique, your target market are young women, you want to make sure that you've got the store set up in that way, right? That it appeals to them. You've got your displays on point, your merchandising on point, perhaps you've got the TVs with the music videos, so on and so forth. And if you're also perhaps a wine store, we did this with one of my clients, making sure that you've got information iPads on there so that if your customer service assistants are really busy, they kind of help your clients, having some sort of interactive way that your clients can sort of figure out what they want to help them with the purchasing decision of wines in this particular case. It makes it really, really easy. So that's a really important point about consumer behavior. But right now, I just want to pause. Like, what are you seeing? What have you implemented in your store? Just pop that in the comment section below with respect to changes in consumer behavior. Have you adapted to it? And I'd love to learn below. Excuse me. So there are some real challenges that we face, right? So if you tend to fall into two baskets: a complacent retailer that does things that continues to do things the way it's always been done, and they kind of put a cloak on themselves and kind of really ignore the market, and then they wonder why they're losing cash flow and profitability, and eventually close down. Or you can be the retailer that's going to tackle this head on. So what happens is we get a sense of anxiety. There's definitely a sense of overwhelm that can happen when you're trying to respond to these consumer behaviors. So I just want to give you some really, really big tips, right? So apart from all the knowing your target market, which I've explained earlier, I think it's really all about triaging because it can be very, very overwhelming for retailers. Not only are we running our shop, but we've also got to try and figure out how we navigate the change in consumer behaviors. And just like anything, if you've heard from me before, it's really about taking the overwhelm out of choosing the right strategies. And how do you do that? It's not about doing everything at once. Certainly, when you know your target market and you filter down, hopefully you'll come up with some ideas on how you can adapt to these changes in the consumers that are walking through your store. And really from there, the big mistake I see retailers making is either they do nothing, okay, or they try and do everything at once. So you try and implement 30,000 changes all in one hit, then you wonder why you're overwhelmed and why it's not working. You need to be really methodical in your approach. Just pick 2 or 3 strategies, maybe even in a quarter, break it down into little goals and try it, test, measure. And that's what you need to do, right? So you need to, unfortunately, there is no silver bullet in how you go about tackling this problem. There's certainly a methodology and a framework, but when it comes to implementation, you need to do things very, very systematically. And I think that's where a lot of retailers essentially stuff up because they try and do too many things at once. That's why I think it's really, really important that you have a coach, you work with somebody who can then guide you through this overwhelming period. What else do I need to say about changes in consumer behavior? I think that's about it. So yeah, I'd love to know in the comment section below, what strategies are you using to adapt to consumer behaviors? What particular, actually, I love this. What particular consumer behaviors, what examples can you leave down the bottom in the comment section below that you're experiencing in your bricks and mortar retail store? So there you go. I hope you found that really useful. Some really, really easy tips, which take a little bit of work, but once you work through those, you can stay ahead of the game in terms of consumer behavior insights and adapting your store accordingly. If you made it this far, amazing. Please make sure you give that a like, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And until next time, catch you later.